Alright, Rams, this is your Unit 13 test corrections video, relationships in two variables. Here we go. Mauricio saves the same amount of money from his paycheck each week. The table shows the total amount of money saved based on the number of weeks. Which list shows the dependent quantities from the table? Alright, so let's go and label these so that way we know we have the correct answer. Okay, I'm going to draw a line right here. Number of weeks to total saved dollars. Okay, so we know that numbers of weeks, if we're looking at our table, the X always goes on top and the Y always goes on bottom. So number of weeks would represent our X-axis and total saved dollars would be our Y-axis. So that means X is our independent and Y would be our dependent quantities. Therefore, our dependent quantities is 25, 50, 75, 100, and 125, so our answer is B. Good job. Alright, number 2. A portion of Raul's check register is shown. His checking account had a balance of $539.50 on April 2nd. Based on the information in the check register, what was the balance of Raul's checking account after the transaction on April 13th, dollars and cents? Okay, so right here, we're going to have to do some adding and subtracting. So he got gas on his debit card, so that's a withdrawal. So we would subtract that from $539.50. So we subtract $35.50. So he has $504 as his ending balance. And then he wrote a check to buy a shirt. So we are going to subtract, subtract $23.75. So we're going to have to regroup here. So 10 minus 5 is 5. That becomes a 9. And we get 2. 4 minus 1 is 1. That becomes 8. This becomes 4. So we have 481 and 25 cents as his ending balance. And then he gets money from his mother, which is a check, so he makes a deposit. So we add $55 back in. So $536.25 is his ending balance. Alright, number 3. The soccer coach wants to buy t-shirts for his soccer team. The table shows the cost of the shirts. Which equation shows the relationship between S and C? Okay, so here we go. We have the number of shirts, S, which is representing what would go on our X-axis. The cost of shirts, C, which would go on our Y-axis. Okay, so now how are we getting from 3 to 24, 4 to 32, 6 to 48, 8 to 64, 11 to 88? What is our pattern that we notice here? Good job. We're multiplying by 8. So we're taking our S, multiplying it by 8 to equal C. So which equation matches this? Good job. D. So our answer is D. Alright, number 4. The graph shows the cost to rent a surfboard for different amounts of time. Which list best represents the independent values graph of the points, or of the graph points, excuse me. Okay, so we have our X, remember, let's label, we have independent. And then our Y is always our dependent. Okay, now let's answer our question. We're looking for the independent values, so that means we are not looking at the Y-axis at all. So we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So our answer is J. Okay, number 5. Number 5, the table shows the relationship between x and y for the two data sets. Which statements describe the relationship between x and y in data set 1 and data set 2? Okay, let's go and look at our table before we even look at our answer choices. Again, how am I getting from my x to my y in data set 1 and my x to my y in data set 2? What is my pattern? What do I notice as I'm going from 1 to 5.5, 2 to 11, 3 to 16.5, 4 to 22, 5 to 27.5? Well, am I adding by 4.5? If I do 2 plus 4.5, I get 6.5. So I know I'm not adding. So let's try to multiply. Well, 1 times 5.5 is 5.5. 2 times 5.5 is 11. So that looks like I'm multiplying. So my equation would be y equals 5.5 times x. Okay, let's look at the next one. So this would be a multiplicative. 1 to 5. Well, if I add 4, I get 5. But if I add 4 to 2, I get 6, not 10. So this looks here like I'm multiplying by 5. 3 times 5 is 15. 4 times 5 is 20. 5 times 5 is 25. So I'm multiplying by 5. So it's also multiplicative, and I have y equals 5x. All right, now let's go look at my answer choices. Both data sets show additive relationships. Well, they're both multiplicative, so A is out. Data set 1 shows multiplicative. Data set 2 shows additive. That's not true. So we're looking for the statement that describes the relationship. Both data sets show multiplicative relationships. In data set 1, y is 5.5 times x. Data set 2, y is 5 times x. That is true, so C is my answer. Number 6. The weight of one serving of trail mix is 2.5 ounces. How many servings are there in 22.5 ounces of trail mix? Okay, that means I got this whole box of trail mix right here. Here's my trail mix. And all of it in there is equal to 22.5 ounces. Now I want to know how many servings there are if I take this and I divide it into 2.5 servings to feed my friends. Okay, let's think of it like that. Alright, now first what I need to do is they need to be in the same form for me to divide. So I'm going to take this, make the half into a decimal, so just do 1 divided by 2. How many times is 2 going to 10? 5 times. So that tells me 1/2 is equivalent to 5/10. So I'm going to have 22.5 divided by 2.5. Now I can't have a decimal in the divisor, so I'll move it 1 time in the divisor. If I move it 1 time in the divisor, I move it 1 time in the dividend, bring it up to the division bar. Okay. Now how many times does 25 go into 225? Well, let's do 25 times 10. I get 250, so that's too big. So let's go 1 down from 10. Let's try 9. So 25 times 9, that is 45. Carry my 4. 18 plus 4 is 22. So that is 225. Subtract. That is 0. So 9 is my answer. There's 9 servings. Alright, number 7. A line graph is shown below. Let's see which table best represents this line graph. Okay, I'm going to go pick out some points here because that is really going to help me. So I'm going to write x and y because I'm going to do some coordinates, some ordered pairs. I'm going to start right here because that's a good starting point. So I'm going to have 0, 3. And then I'm going to go right here. I'm going to have 0, -6. Actually, I said that wrong. Excuse me, I'm going to have -6, 0. Because I haven't. Oh my gosh, what is wrong with me? I'm so sorry. This is 3, 0. And then I'm going to have -6, 0. how much? I can't think right now. This is supposed to be 0, -6. I don't have anything on the x, but I have something on the y. There we go. Oh my goodness. Okay. Now I'm going to go see if I can find a point in between there that matches. So if I go to -1, right here, I'm going to have -1, -8. Okay. So let's see if I have anything that matches that. Alright. So I have 4, 2. We'll have 4, 2. Okay, let's look at A. So I have 4, 2. Do I have 0, -5? No, I do not. So A is out. B, I have 3, 0. 0, -6. 1, -5. I have 1, -4, but I don't have 1, -5. Let's look at C. I have 3, 0, -1, -8, and 0, -6. My answer is C. Alright, number 8. We are almost done. Number 8, what quadrant would point 15, -8 be located? Alright, well, I don't have a coordinate plane to look at. I have one up here that could help me, or I can always draw one. So let's draw my coordinate plane and label my quadrants. Well, this is quadrant 1, 2, quadrant 3, quadrant 4. I know this is my x, this is my y. These are going to both be positive. This is going to be negative, positive. This is going to be negative, negative for my ordered pairs. And this is going to be positive, negative for my ordered pairs. Well, this is positive, negative. So quadrant 4 is my answer. Alright, number 9. Mr. Martinez asked his students to write a situation that could best describe the relationship between all the values of x and y in the table. Which situation best describes the relationship between all values of x and y in the table? Okay, so here we go. So what is our relationship here? So I'm going from 0 to 6, 1 to 7, 2 to 8, 3 to 10. Okay, it is an additive. So it needs to say y equals x plus 6. Okay, let's look at A. Jack started with 6 video games and earned 1 each week over the summer, helping babysit his siblings. Okay, so 1 week he earned 1 video game, so then he had 7 total. The second week he earned another, then he had 8 total. That sounds good. B, Beatrice ran 1 mile the first week and 1 mile each week after that. So the first mile, we would start out with 1, so B is not correct. James read 0 books in 6 months, then started reading 1 book each week. Well, if he had 0, 0, that would start at the origin. C is not correct. Marion has 6 times. Well, we see times, that means multiplication, so D is out. A is our answer. Okay, last one, number 10. Alright, the table shows the amount of sugar Felicia mixes with each amount of water she puts in her hummingbird feeder. Based on the information in the table, how many cups of sugar should Felicia mix with 6 cups of water? Okay, so we have cups of water. Now, looking at the table, we're looking for 6 cups of water. So that means that 6 needs to go with cups of water. That can go right here in your table. So this is going to be a ratio. So let's find a nice number that goes to 6 that I can scale. Well, I have 2 to 6. So times 3 times 3, I get 3.5, which is equivalent to 1 1/2 cups. So your answer is F. Alright, Rams, have a good day. We'll see you later.